All right, well, hi everyone. Good afternoon, and thanks for joining us for the last Mentorship Monday of the year. Today, we'd like to discuss how Crew can help you empower yourself. So 2021 has been a year of rediscovery for some, and some of you might be considering a change. Crew would like to help you take your value to the next level. So the next slides will share some resources that we hope will provide some support to you, our members. From your LinkedIn and CrewBiz profiles to your resume, let's make some updates that will help you get noticed. So I'm Lisa Drulard, and I'm joined today by Annette Pophill-Hammerly. I've been a member of Crew and the Professional Development Committee for about 8 years. I'm also a land surveyor and project manager at Atwell, which is a consulting firm offering land surveying, civil engineering, and ecological services for various land development projects.
Hello, I'm Annette Pophill-Hammerly. I've been a member of Crew Detroit for 12 years and with the Professional Development Committee for 9. I'm Director of Business Development for American Interiors, which is a commercial interiors partner. We focus on our clients' needs by listening and responding to the best solution for their needs. We're joined today by members of Crew Detroit who can speak to our topic of empowering yourself with Crew. I'm happy to share that Katie Berlinger, Katrina Hogan, Gail Von Staden, Kim Steiner, Tracy Taylor, and Leslie Zawada will be joining us this half hour. When Lisa and I came together in regards to a topic for Mentorship Monday, we look at what is happening as a result of the past year and a half of a pandemic. The great resignation that is taking place could be seen in many of our nation's workforce changing jobs. The issues we looked at, the why we looked at. We focused on the issues and found some great statistics that are here. And our discussion today is going to focus around that. The issues are that there's always been a contingency of workers who are restless. According to a bank rate survey in August of 2021, it's showing that 28% of Americans will be looking for a new job within the next year. We've also found other issues. Women have not recovered from the pandemic and the related employment loss. Some have called it the she session, with unemployment rates among women that have not been seen in nearly 50 years. Women have lost 5.4 million jobs since the pandemic began. In Michigan, over 136,000 women have been out of work since the start of COVID. Detroit unemployment rates, the proportion of working age adults has held steady around 25% since fall of 2020, and the peak was 48% in June of 2020. Another issue is we've had displaced members within our organization and member businesses who are struggling to attract talent. So we found an opportunity. COVID had given many of us a chance to reevaluate our jobs. And many have asked the question, is it time to do something different?
So if this is you, one of the first things you can do is review your LinkedIn profile. These tips here are all from LinkedIn for Business. And the first one is about your profile. So ask yourself if a recruiter or hiring manager will be impressed, because you can be sure that they will look at your LinkedIn profile. Does it tell people what makes you unique and different from other candidates? Second on the list is to be sure to know the title of the job position you want and incorporate that into your profile, because recruiters are using software to scan your profile for keywords that they're looking for. Also be aware that the first 4 items recruiters will scan are your name, along with any relevant credentials, your photo, your headline, and your location. Next item is the About section on LinkedIn. This is where you can elaborate on where you've been and where all your hard work is leading. It's best to write in the first person and be sure to discuss your hard skills. Recommendations are also very important, and there's social proof of your credibility. So try to ask people of authority to speak to your hard skills. Research says that 70% of jobs aren't listed publicly, and up to 80% of jobs are filled through networking. So don't be afraid to ask a mutual LinkedIn connection to make an introduction for you. Of course, this is a way that Crew Detroit can help you. So, lastly, if you are active on LinkedIn with regular shares and posts, it can increase your chance of getting found through a search. However, just a thumbs up on another post won't do much. So create an original post of an article or video. And then one hint on LinkedIn is try not to use a history-based approach. Be more forward-thinking to stand out from the crowd.
Five things to consider when updating your resume in 2021. One, the resume summary should give a brief description of your skills, your experience, and what makes you different from other candidates. Secondly, make your experience section brief, easy, and clear to understand so that you can make an impression on the recruiter within seconds. Thirdly, find out which skills and certifications are relevant to your field and then go after them. Companies look for this to add value to their organization. Fourth, don't assume you can use the same resume for every job. It might help you to customize your resume based on each job's specific requirements. And finally, nobody has time to read lengthy resumes, so keep it short and professional. Put your experience and skills on the top, then add your education details.
All right, next we're going to go through some tips to prepare for job interviews. One thing to keep in mind is once you start applying to places, be ready for a call from a recruiter saying, "Can we talk right now?" This can happen anytime once you start putting your information out there, so try and be prepared. Next, it's important to know your audience. Each person in the interview process is looking for something different. Recruiters are usually looking for basic fit. HR might check for cultural fit. Hiring managers want to see if you'll make their life easier. And CEOs want to know if you're worth their money. So tailor your answers accordingly. Third, thank yous are very important, and you should definitely send a thank you note after every interview. But these should be short notes, just showing you have good manners. If you try to sell them or recap your strengths, it could come across as pushy or desperate. Fourth, it might be a good idea for you to research common behavioral interview questions and practice by writing down your responses. Use the experience plus learn equals grow model by first highlighting a professional experience, then discussing what you learned from the experience, and finally how you grew from it professionally. It's always good to ask questions. Employers want to know you have done your homework, and asking the right questions will show your intelligence and expertise. Lastly, don't give up on the relationship if you don't get the job. You never know when another role will pop up, especially if you are a finalist for the job. It's possible the person they hired will not work out, and you could get a second chance.
Next is our Crew Biz profile. This is something that we've talked about since I joined Crew 12 years ago, but it's something really important. So you need to really look at what your Crew Biz profile says about you. It should really mirror your resume and your LinkedIn profile. There should definitely be consistencies through these three documents. This information is for everyone to get the most out of Crew. Your Crew Biz profile is a very important part of your membership. This piece gives network members the ability to look you up, whether for a question, a connection, or an opportunity. First, make your profile on Crew Biz if you haven't done so already. Secondly, if you're searching to see what's out there for a new position, go to the Browse section, then go to the Resources and Career Center Announcements. Preparing for this was the first time, for this webinar was the first time I had gone to this page. I didn't need to look for a job. So I went to this page and it was very insightful for me. In the Career Center, I found that you can look through opportunities and also see who may be looking for a new position that you could help. You have to create the profile on the job seeker section. So you can see there's little snippets of these pieces on the bottom of the screen in this slide. So check it out. It's very quick and easy. And again, make sure it stands out and mirrors your resume.
Great, thank you. Next, I'd like to introduce 3 crew members who are also business owners. First is Gail von Staden of Von Staden Architects, which is a commercial and residential architectural firm in Royal Oak. Next is Tracy Taylor of T2 Designs, a commercial interior design firm in Brighton. And then we have Leslie Zawada of Civil Engineering Solutions, a civil engineering and surveying firm in Milford. So thank you all for joining us today. We have asked you all the following 4 questions, which I'm going to go through now. The first would be discussing your experience over the past 18 months, items that your firm has struggled with since COVID, what you look for in new hiring candidates, and what stands out to you when you're looking for a new hire. So Gail, can you start out by telling us how your business has handled the past 18 months? You can answer any or all of the questions that fit your company the best.
Sure. Hi, everybody, and happy Monday. We are actually coming off of our best year ever, which is probably a little surprising, maybe to some, but I think we were situated to take advantage of some of the trends in where the money was going during COVID. Our firm has historically done a wide variety of work. We do both commercial as well as high-end residential, and we are moving now into multifamily work as well. So because of that ability to take on a greater variety of work, we've really seen successes. In terms of the struggles, even though we've had a high amount of revenue and a high amount of workload, obviously the unpredictability of schedule, given our staff, has been probably the greatest challenge. And when I say unpredictability of schedule, what I mean is we want to create an environment where everyone feels safe. We did not mandate vaccines, but we encouraged vaccines, and all of our staff did get vaccinated. But as everyone knows, the world out there changes every day. You might have a family member that's been exposed. You might have a daycare that's closed. You might have get sick yourself. So we have had to be able to be quite fluid in allowing people to work in the office and to work remotely. Our work is really dependent on people working together. And so we want very much for everyone to be in the office every day. But we also want for folks to feel like they can address their family needs and have a balanced approach to our well-being these days. So that's really been the biggest challenge, that unpredictability of the schedule. In terms of what we look for in candidates, and we are one of those firms that very rarely posts jobs because we really are always looking for the right fit and not necessarily just looking to fill a position. So what we look for in candidates is the highest quality education paired with an experience that's applicable to our work. And that obviously requires somebody who has had a wide variety of experiences because of the type of work that we do. Work has changed for us, and that's something that probably everybody can relate to. But if you had looked at our workload 20 years ago, 15 years ago, even 10 years ago, it was primarily corporate office. Today, the majority of our work is single family and multifamily residential. So having that ability to take on wider variety of work has really been the differentiator for us this year. And I'll pass it back to you, Lisa.
Thank you so much, Gail. I appreciate everything you just shared. Tracy, has your company had some similar issues?
Sure. So I think for us, I would say our experience over the last year and a half has been a roller coaster. Prior to COVID, things were soaring high, and very quickly when things started closing down, we had, we have diversity in kind of three major markets, being corporate office, healthcare, and education, higher ed especially. All three of those clamped down and were not doing any work. So we had several months in early 2020 that just there wasn't anything at all going on. But we've come through that, and now we're kind of soaring high again. So I think that we took that quiet time as an opportunity to kind of rethink, and we kept everybody on board and retooled some things and did some things that we don't normally have the time to do because we're always too busy working on the next project, the next deadline. So we used some time for that. Just like many people I think are doing personally, they're rethinking and reassessing life and careers and whatnot. We kind of did that as a business early on in the pandemic, and it has proved well for us. And like I said, things are going very well. Through COVID, I think probably one of our biggest challenges through all of this has just been the various comfort levels. And we have staff that are at various levels of being comfortable of being in the office or being in an in-person meeting, as well as clients. And if they're comfortable doing things in person versus virtual, and some aren't comfortable doing things in person, others aren't comfortable doing things virtually. So that's just been challenging to work through that and find everyone's comfort level. But as far as candidates, and when we're hiring, similar to Gail, we often don't advertise because it's often a word of mouth of a sales rep that comes in or somebody we know through Crew or whatever, hey, we're looking for someone, we're super busy, and we get referrals. And the importance of being a good fit with the team is really at the top of the list. So when we're looking for someone, it's really the skill set, to know the software, to know the whatever, those hard skills are important. But the thing that's really important past that, because most everybody with a college degree has some level of skill set, and those are things that you can build on and add to, but it's those soft skills, the people skills, that are harder to teach, the leadership, the friendliness, the inquisitive, the candidate that comes in and has done, like you guys talked about earlier, has done their research and has questions about the company, and is forward thinking and kind of thinking ahead to what's next and how to prepare for that project or that meeting. Those are the things that are harder to teach. Also, I think harder to find and put your finger on in an interview process. But those are the things that are really important, is just that those softer skills. And those are the things that stand out to us. I've had times where we have a candidate with very little experience and another one with a great deal of experience in what we need, but the lesser experience may win out because of those softer skills that go with it, and that are harder to teach because they're just a little bit more innate.
Yes, for sure. Well, I'm glad, Tracy, your company has come out the other side of this and doing well. And thanks for sharing your items there.
Sure.
Leslie, I have a feeling I'm gonna, being in a similar industry as you, know what some of your answers are going to be to these questions. But can you share with us what challenges your company's been dealing with?
Yes, thank you. I feel like Gail and Tracy answered very similarly to how our year has gone, our last 18 months. And if we had this call a year ago, my answers might be different. But definitely the last 18 months have taught me to be very flexible owner. You have people, we have this pandemic occurring, and as both Gail and Tracy mentioned, people have different comfort levels of working in the office versus working at home. And as an employer, you have to be respectful of that. And same thing with our clients. We have some clients who are very conservative, some I haven't seen at all, and others who are operating business as usual. So really the flexibility part has been very different. And at first it was a big struggle because there was so much uncertainty. And now I think it's just part of how we operate. And we have some employees who work from home on certain days and some who are in the office all the time. So it's really been an interesting year and a half, and we're a small business, so we try to accommodate where we can. The struggle initially when people were working 100% remotely for us was that we were not set up that way at all. So when we were shut down, we had to quickly react, like pretty much everybody in our industry and in commercial real estate in general, to buy the laptops and get everybody set up to work from home. And then we had issues communicating while people were at home. And we work very collaboratively with our team, including myself, and we prepare civil engineering drawings. So oftentimes we're around a table with our plans, and that took an adjustment on how to do that when we were in different locations. So, but overall, looking back, we really are okay. We didn't have any employees with health issues. So I'm grateful and thankful for that. And the rest of it, we've just kind of learned along the way. Similar to Gail, we've had a record-breaking year. We've hired 2 women full-time, and they're both excellent. So hearing the initial statistics makes me really proud of that. And they're wonderful additions to our team. One is a seasoned engineer, and another young woman is graduating in 2022 from University of Detroit Mercy, which is my alma mater. So really happy that she'll be joining us full time. So that kind of goes into the next question of what do we look for candidates? We often use recruiters when we are looking for seasoned, experienced engineers, because it's very difficult, I think not only in civil engineering, but many commercial real estate fields, to find seasoned veterans that are looking for opportunities. And plus, as an owner that, I work on projects as well as run the business with my husband, I don't have time to recruit myself. So we've really enlisted recruiters, and it has been very helpful, and it's helped really solidify our team with a significant number of seasoned professionals. And then we also hire students directly from universities and bring them into an internship program. And it's really been a great balance, because we're really training the next generation of engineers. I feel that that's part of my duty as an owner, to pay it forward and train someone to eventually take my job. But it's what I look for specifically. I look for loyalty. Besides experience, I look at how many jobs an applicant has had and how long their average duration is. And that will tell me a lot. If I have an applicant that has changed jobs every 2 years for the last 20 years, I typically will not interview them, because to me, that's a sign they will not stay. So that's the very first thing I look at. When we get to the interview stage, the behavioral questions tell me more about an applicant than the experience questions in some ways. If somebody is not someone who thrives in a team environment, for example, that person would not fit in well in our culture. because our culture is based on a team environment. So those are the things that I really look for. And I point blank ask people in interviews, I ask what their worst professional trait is. And how they answer that question tells me a lot. You know, are you late to meetings? Or I want to know. And depending how honest that answer is, it's pretty telling. So those behavioral questions are very important for those of you who are looking at changing positions and being honest, and you'll find the right fit. That's what I found through my career and my path. So thank you very much for having me, and appreciate being on this panel.
Thank you so much, Leslie. Those were some great items that you shared. Thank you also, Tracy and Gail. We appreciate your input. Next, Annette's going to talk to 3 crew members that have gone through a recent job change to get their viewpoint. Oh, Annette, looks like you're on mute.
Sorry, yeah, I was all keyed up there, but thanks. I'm happy to share with you some of our members and their transition experiences and the questions we shared with them to prepare to talk to you about it today. So the questions we had sent to our members, which were our 3 Ks, Katie Berlinger, Katrina Hogan, and Kim Steiner. I'd like to call them our 3 Ks, yes. So what has your story been? What did you do first and beyond? What did you do to get your new position? What has worked best for you? What would you suggest to anyone who is looking for a new position? And can you share anything inspiring to our members? Well, I'd first like to start with Katie. I have not posted where everybody is at, so that's for you to share your stories. Katie, if you could, you know, you in on some of these questions and what is best fitting.
Okay, thanks, Annette. So hi everyone. I have had worked with Area, one of the Hayward dealerships in town, for the last 4 years, and I actually returned from maternity leave at the end of September and was, back at it for a week and a half, and then Area made an announcement that they were going to close its doors. So I had about 1 more week after that, and then I was back at home. So it was kind of surreal and happened really quickly. But I looked at it as an opportunity to spend a little bit more time at home with my new baby and really find the next best fit for me. I had been feeling like it was time to make a career change. I was just kind of waiting it out to get back into, working again after a big life change. So it was all kind of a great timing, I guess, for me. So first I really just reached out to like my network of people, my former coworkers who are at new places, my rep, my different reps that I've become good friends with, and my crew network of people, and let them know that I was looking, and that's really, how I feel like I was led to my new position. I had several opportunities that were, sent to me, lots of referrals, and just it was a great experience. I had about 5 different real opportunities that I was looking at, and then a couple more that keep lingering into my LinkedIn messages. I'm like, I've already accepted something. But I did accept a new position at American Interiors, and I start a week from today. Yay! So I'm super excited about that. But, I had been just kind of talking to people over the last year. I feel like maybe since 2020, kind of just getting feelers out there. Before I even knew that this was going to be happening with Area. And Annette introduced me to, one of her bosses, Rick, and I've been talking to him over time. And, we had phone calls, we met in person, and then I finally interviewed a couple times, I guess. One time in his office in Novi, and kind of got to see the space in person and kind of feel like what it felt like out there. And then I had another virtual call with a few team members who I would potentially be working with. And so that's kind of how I landed that opportunity. But it was really the first time I've ever been able to, I had received a few offers. I wrote down pros and cons of each opportunity. And it was so really the first time that I really felt like I was able to choose the job that really felt like the best fit for me and my family and where I'm at in my path in life. And it was just a really refreshing change for me. So, I mean, what I would suggest for anyone who's looking is really build that network. I mean, the network really worked for me this time. When I moved here 4 years ago, no one knew me. And this time, I feel like I had a lot of things come at me because of people who I knew in this industry. And it was just really amazing. So I feel very fortunate. That's all I got.
Thank you, Katie. Thank you. That's great. We feel fortunate as well. And from your crew team, we're glad you landed. So that's great. Katrina.
Yes.
Hi, thank you for being here. You have some great stories too to share. So
yeah. Well, my initial experience is a little bit different than Katie's. My first time in 31 years of being back out on the market was last September, right in the midst of COVID. I chose to take a voluntary separation, early retirement from Steelcase after almost 31 years at the company. And so I was in a whole different position. No job opportunities out there. My resume that I had, the font didn't even exist anymore because it was in WordPerfect or something like that. So I had to really learn how to do all of that. So what I did is I again reached out to people who had changed jobs. I reached out to a couple of people that had worked at placement firms and found out what I needed to do. And so I got my LinkedIn profile all updated. I signed up for the premium. I watched every video. Anything you need to know about interviewing or setting up your profile is out on LinkedIn. Tons of great opportunities for learning and how to get back out there. And I had to totally redo everything. So I spent several months doing that, knowing that there weren't a lot of opportunities, and waited to the beginning of the year. And so I went out myself and started, pulling on my network of people that I've met. And just like Katie and others have said, the job that I got was with Area in April, was through someone I knew. I knew Melissa Price. So when I saw she was hiring, and it went from there. She knew my work ethic with Steelcase and so forth, and did a couple of interviews and got the job. In that process, I also had another job offer. Once again, it was from someone I knew who said, "Hey, we're hiring. I saw you're looking." And then I too went through what Katie went through, and that was on October 6th. I cried. They told us now, we're closing the doors. So here I am again, back out on the job market. And this time, even though I was sad more for the people and, the places we could have gone, I guess. I had to, again, redefine myself and get back out there. So the nice part about it, like Katie, people knew me, I knew people. I, again, got back on my LinkedIn and started networking, sending emails to people. My mantra to myself was do something every day, phone calls, that kind of thing. And I felt really good that I had myself multiple offers to choose from. The one I chose is I'm going back to Steelcase, but in a more strategic role, a bigger role, not sales. So it's more of a strategy role. And I'm really excited about it. It was not a path I was looking for, but the opportunity came over lunch with my old coworkers. Hey, this job is open. You should reach out to this person. And here I am. And my start date as well is next week. So what I suggest, if you're a person like me who have been in a company for a really, really, really long time, is you need to really talk to people that have been out there, and talk to recruiters, talk to those that that know what people are looking for today. And I will tell you, with this steel case position, they put me through these tests, a battery of tests, and things that test your behavior, test your strategic thinking. Some of them are really, really sophisticated now, but I use an acronym just as a, for new people getting out there to answer questions. It's the STAR acronym. I don't know if you guys have heard of it, but it's situation, task, actions, and results. So when someone asks you a question, kind of run that through your head. What was the situation? They want to look at your implementation, and then what were the results? Another tip for people looking for jobs is those basic questions. They will ask you those, where do you see yourself in 5 years? What are your strengths and weaknesses? I put them up on a marker board, and so it's always like behind the computer. So I have just notes so that I have that as reference. And my last tip is to practice and be prepared. Know the company, have your questions. They love you to ask questions to show that you've researched them, that your values and things are in line with what their goals and their mission is, and that you understand that. And what was my last time? Oh, my last one is don't give up, because for about 7 months, I didn't think I was going to get a job because of COVID, but it worked out. So I think that's it for me. Any questions?
I think that's great, Katrina. Thank you so much. I wrote down that acronym. I think that's a wonderful one, and we can use it in so many ways.
Yeah.
All right. Well,
Thank
Kim
you.
Steiner. Thank you, Katrina. Kim, welcome. We'd love to hear about your transition experience and how you can share with us.
Awesome. Thank you so much for having me. It's actually been a little therapeutic, kind of jotting down notes for this transition. So back in 2018, after 21 years experience working on the service side of architecture, I realized then that I was ready for something new. And I took a leap of faith, and I stepped over to the dark side of the development world because I wanted to learn more about the built environment. And my time at Bedrock provided exactly what I was looking for. I worked with incredibly talented subject matter experts who impacted the entire lifespan of a development project. And only 3 years after I got the job that I love, I was laid off in March, and I was absolutely devastated, totally caught off guard. I mean, I loved my job. And I really hated that I had become a statistic, only one of the 5, plus million women who, left or lost their job across the United States in the last year. So after a couple weeks of processing, I started working my network, contacting friends and colleagues in and around Crew, asking for introductions. But I quickly realized through those conversations, I had absolutely no idea what I wanted my next step to be. I was floundering, I was depressed, and I was overwhelmed because I knew I wanted to go forward. I didn't want to go back into, a traditional architecture role. And I kind of felt like another developer, I just don't know if I could have done that. I'm like, what's next? And a good friend of mine introduced me to a career coach who gave me the confidence to take the time that I needed to really understand and evaluate myself. And she provided the structure to help me understand all of my priorities, not just what I was looking for in my next job. So my career always took precedent in my family. I would say that I never let having kids get in the way of my career. So with unexpected deadlines, working nights and weekends, and tons of work travel, I really wasn't around much, and I didn't want to go back to that. So I needed to find a job that, fed my soul but allowed me to sign my kids up for after school activities or let them join school sports. So my husband and I agreed that we could manage me taking a major pay cut. And 5 months after I lost my job, I was actually excited to look for a university teaching position. So I had always planned on teaching, but when I was closer to retirement age. So this was just a really, really accelerated timeline into this pretty dramatic, change in path. So I once again reached out to my amazing network to get the introductions that I needed. And I was really lucky to get a teaching position in the School of Architecture and Community Development at the University of Detroit Mercy. So I love teaching. I love spending mornings with my kids before school. I love hearing my son talk about football practice and my daughter talk about gymnastics. I don't love that I had to take over grocery shopping for the family, but I'm always home for dinner now, and that's not ever been the case. So I really struggle to accept that I'm not where I thought I was supposed to be at this point in my career. But, for now, it's the right job for me and the right job for my family. And I feel like I'm getting teary. Ooh. Okay. So I think the biggest thing that I could say is take the time to evaluate your priorities because they could change without you even realizing it. So that's it.
Kim, thank you so much. You're an inspiration. I think all 3 of you ladies, all 6 of you ladies have just been inspiring. It's everything. I'm a firm believer of everything happens for a reason, and where your path takes you is where it's supposed to at that time. So kudos to you, kudos to all of you, and we really appreciate the time that you shared with us.
I want to mirror what Annette said. Thank you to all of our guests today. The discussions have been really great. All of you brought different insights, and I couldn't be happier with how those went. We'd also like to remind everyone that if you are looking for a new job or a change in your career path, the mentorship spreadsheet that's available through Career Detroit could be a good resource for you. If you recall, you had a Google Docs spreadsheet link earlier this year. Feel free to reach out to me or Annette if anyone needs some more information on that again. But it's a good resource, especially if you want to get another viewpoint or some advice. Remember, everybody has something to give, whether you have 2 years of experience or 20 years. I firmly believe we can all learn from each other.
We also want to share with you that we're going to be expanding mentorship in 2022. We're thrilled with our board liaisons who we are working with, Lisa and I. We're starting with outreach, membership and professional development to make the mentoring opportunities more prescriptive and easier to connect with. So look in the first quarter of 2022 for more information on Mentorship 2.0 so you can continue to count on Career Detroit to help you in your career.
Finally, we'd really like to thank everyone for joining us today. I know we ran long, which I apologize for, but everyone's stories were so great. I didn't want to cut anyone off. So I hope everyone was able to stick through with us. Again, if there's any questions on mentorship, reach out to Annette or myself, and we hope that everyone has a great rest of their week.